data in your transaction amount, name, PAN number, your frequency of transactions. All this data will store, and the geographical location where you live. It is the sanction or non-sanction, or it is a criminal location or not a location. So that's the geographical location is also important, and the customer demographics. So your details like PAN number, Aadhaar number, your name, mobile number, email ID, your gender, all these the customer demographics detail, and the beneficiary, your beneficiary demographic detail also we will provide to the banks and track these things, and the historical transaction patterns, how you do the transaction in your history, how much your daily transaction and how much your monthly transaction, how much your yearly transaction. So that's all this pattern or in this data the bank will have, and accordingly bank will do the quantitative data ML methods. So the challenges faced by the bank while doing these all things to how to find the handful and suspicious transaction hidden within the millions and legitimate ones. So daily there million and billion the peoples are doing the transactions, and a number of transactions doing online way. So the bank has a very challenging task to to identify the suspicious transaction and hidden the suspicious transaction, this billion and trillion transaction, and to increase the true positive rates and reduce the false positive rates. That's the very challenging for the bank. So let's move on the next slide, which is at the evolving the landscape of financial crime. So what are the things that involve in the financial crime? So growing the data volume, sophisticated criminals, and regulatory pressures. Continuously regulatory will increase the pressure, enhance that crime, and the limitation of traditional method. So let's first discuss on the growing the data volume. In the financial institution process billions of transactions is really, if you go the SBI, they have billion and trillion transactions in from account, more than 50 crores the clients has account in the SBI bank. So there, that every transaction, if we do three transactions, so million and trillion transaction, the government banks and all these banks, so growing the transaction volume, and everyone wants to the online, and the sophisticated criminal tactic are constantly involving the laying, structuring, and sale companies. Criminal are do the new and enhanced technique to convert their illegal money to the legal money, or to do the finance for the terrorist financing. So criminal has a number of way to do such activities. So bank will to identify the criminal behavior patterns, and how the criminal will think, what are the new techniques or what are the new strategies criminal are using in the market, and clean their money, or to do the criminal activities. So that's the thinking and the criminal way thinking. So should the compliance team or the bank team will have, and the regulatory pressure. So continuously regulator will pressure on to enhance your anti-money laundering and counter terrorist financing activities, add new rules and logic in your system, and stricter the compliance rule and heavy fines for the non-compliance companies or the non-compliance financial institutions. So the financial institutions should follow the regulatory guidelines while or before onboarding the customers, and their journey will proceed, and the limitation of traditional methods. So the traditional method like a rule-based system often generate the high number of fails positive because it's at the rule-based, and it has some logic, and it's not, it just validate the rules, not other the 360 day. So it will generate the high fails positive and the different in number of transactions, the red alerts of that transaction, and the compliance team or the operation team or the business team or the IT team need to review each one, and it is a time consuming or the lengthy process and in number of transactions. So every organization wants to move into the data driven analysis or AML technique, so that will increase the true positive rates and reduce the fails positive rates. So let's move on the next slide. Why the visualization in AML data is required? What are the things that will help us to, if we visualize, or which if we see the visualization of AML data? So what we are getting. So that is the spotting and unseen data we get the predict and enhance the investigation and communicating the insights, and from the reactive to proactive, or the from data we collect that thing. So the spotting and unseen help visualize, help in human analyze and quickly identify the patterns and anomalies and outliers that are difficult to find in a raw data table. So visualization will help us the human to our the human analyst, he or she can quickly identify the anomalies or true positive, what things will system to more positive and outlier that is difficult, and raw data in the tables. So that's the first the things that we'll use. And then enhance the investigations. So visualization complex relationship provide the context for alert, reducing the investigation time, and what data they will invest or what data they will not invest, what are the fails positive, what are the true positive. If they have the complete dashboard or visualize tools, the 360-degree way heat map, so accordingly they will work. And then the communicating insights, easily conveying the complex finding to management. With the help, management itself can understand to visualize and to see that data, and regulatory law enforcement teams can also understand the data very well and clean way. And the from the reactive to the proactive, it's a very modern technique. And everyone, the AML, with the help of anti-money laundering, artificial intelligence and the machine learning, everyone wants to go in, from reactive to proactive, move beyond the simply respond and alert to begin the proactive, predict to prevent the suspicious activity and to visualize these activities. So let's move on the next slide. That is a key visualization technique. So what are the techniques in the market, or what are the techniques that bank or the financial institution should adopt to the key visualization and important visualization? The search technique has a network analysis or the link analysis or the geographic map or the heat map and the time series and the trend analysis. And these techniques are now bank wants to follow, and bank wants to these techniques in their the transaction monitoring system, or the payment screening system, or the name screening system, or the sanction screening system they have. So the first one is a network and the link analysis. The purpose of this system is to reveal the hidden connection between the people, account, and the transaction. So bank wants, if some person do their monthly transaction or daily transaction, so bank want to identify how their the source of the funds come, and in which where he will pay the funds, what are the linkage of the fund, who are the beneficiary, what amount of fund he want to spend. So there is a link between, and that link bank want to identify, and that network that bank want to identify. And it will the quantitative use of these nodes can be size and by the transaction volume and the risk. So if you suppose if you are the family, so if you are the person who are earning, so you are earning from the business, or you are earning from the company salary. So if you are working in XYZ company, so company will pay you 1 lakh every month. So from 1 lakh you will pay 50,000 to your home loan. If you pay your student 5,000 for every month money pocket, your wife 10,000. And if you play kirana and groceries for 10 to 20,000, so that is a link between earning you and then your dependent. So these are the net links. So that link analysis the bank or the financial institution wants to do. And then the example of mapping the flow and funds through the web of account and reveal the layer that wants. But the criminal has different kinds of activity. They don't show the relationship where, and that's the if bank do the entire the criminal chain, the criminal chain where the funds is, they collect, how the fund will transfer, in which account that fund will go, then what account, and how that will go into the final, if the network analysis or link analysis that they have. And then the geographic mapping and the heat map. The purpose of these, the geographic mapping and the heat map, is that the identifying the geographic hotspot and the risk activities done by the criminals to identify such activities from the criminal purpose. And then the quantitative use. The heat map can show the density of suspicious transaction by region or the country. So, so there the heat map will help the bank or the financial institution where the high amount of the transaction will go that is a suspicious, and accordingly bank will do the risk-based approach with such a geographies and the pinpointing the countries and unseen highly transaction volume and concentration of the high risk customers. So they will focus on the more concentration on the high risk customer as compared to the low risk customers. So then the time series and the trend analysis, it is and also the most important things that now the financial institution or banks want to use amount use investment in these fields. So to monitor the changes in behavior over time, so customer behavior will change, and to monitor that behavior, the quantitative use of these the time series and trend analysis are to lines the graph showing the customer monthly transaction volume and flagging the sudden spike in the customer behavior. And that is the time series and trend analysis will done and the example of a sudden increase in the transaction volume or the frequency for the previously inactive accounts, if the client have some inactive account or the dormant account or the debit free account, and client will open these account, or if suppose the student account, or the person who shows the wife who shows the housewife and monthly income, and the transaction will increase the search wipes account. So these are the the time series or trade analysis will done by the banks on these search accounts. So let's move on the next slide. That is the case study. Let's discuss the case study in this the data anti-money laundering data that will helps to the bank. So unmasking and a sale company network, the problem, and the anti-money laundering alert on a single account doesn't provide the enough context. If you have the single account, that will not give us the bank or the financial institution what that account will do. So then the transactions or the traditional view and the visualization approach and the insights will do by the finance team or the compliance team of banks or the financial institution. A small deposit into immensely legitimate account, the small account, if the bank has the threshold amount or the regulator provide the threshold amount of 1 lakh, so 99,000 or the 90,000 a level of amount done deposit in that account, and suddenly remove that funds in that account, that is a show as the suspicious transaction. And the traditional view, a single isolated transaction that might be fails positive, the bank will do the single isolated transaction, open new account, do the single isolated transaction, and then close this account. So search of the criminal will do the activities to to hidden there and to clean the money in the banks. And then the visualization approach, use a network graph to trace the funds. So bank will use the network graph or the link analysis graph to trace the fund and to identify the source of fund and the utilization of funds. And then the insights, the small deposit is a part of larger network of transaction, all funding into the sale companies, and the reveal the full scope of the money laundering and the scheming. So insights, the bank will identify the insights and the hidden patterns for unmasking sales company network. So how they will do and all the fundings into the sales company and reveal the scope of money laundering scheme if there any. So that's the case study, will definitely help you to do in your part also. So let's discuss on the second case study. I'll prepare for you two case studies so you can understand these things very well. So identify the high risk jurisdiction. So where the bank will enforce, or the financial institution, or the the compliance team, or the central bank or the financial institution unit or the Basel committee or the financial action task force will apply the high jurisdiction or the sanction list to sanction the such countries or such state. So they have the high jurisdiction. So the how to allocate the resource effectively across the global sanctions operations. So that's the way the thinking. So first one, we do the data, and then the visualization approach, and then the insights, we identify the insights. So the transaction data include the sender and receiver, the country, and the transaction amount to beneficiary of that transactions, or the their transaction details and the transactions field we should do and monitor these transactions. or screening these payments. So like it is an the RTGS payment, or it is and the NEFT payment, or it is and the swift message payment. So we do screening on that payment and check all these things. And then the visualization approach, a geographic heat map we do to identify the how much the transaction will done by the the high risk the geography, medium risk geography, and the low risk geography with visualizing by the heat map. And then we do the insights, the mapping highlighted specific region and disproportionately high volume of the transaction and sanction entities, how that done by the sanction entities, is their involvement of sanction entities, and allow the bank to focus on due diligence and effort to those high risk locations. So how that will happen? So let's move on the next slide. That is a building an interactive dashboard. So we need to build the quant analyst or the data visualization team uses some technical tools like a Power BI and MS, which you the Power BI and the other tool to visualize these things. So dashboard components oversee key performance indicator and like the total transaction monitor and alert generated and the suspicious activity reports, so done by the customer level or the bank level or the branch level or the geography level, to do the key performance indicator and the total transaction monitoring in that bank, and how much the alert we generated for that customer, for that branch, or for that region, and confirm the suspicious activity report to fill to the financial institution or the central bank or the financial intelligence unit, so they can review in India or other countries. That things done by the and the go the finance the suspicious activity report is it into the GoML format, so that thing is done. And then the risk score, a verbal chart showing the customer raised by the total transaction amount and the color by the dynamics risk, and the risk score done by it's a high risk, low risk, medium risk, and on that basis the client will get the risk score or the risk percentage, and drill down the capabilities, the ability to analyze and click on the specific matrix or a customer and instantly see the details breakdown like a transaction entry, counterparties, or the beneficiaries and their details, so that things can customer see. Let's discuss on the very important thing to what are the tools and technology we will use to visualize the data of anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing. So first one is a business intelligence platform or the business intelligence tools like a Tableau, Power BI, Quicksell. These are the tools that help us to visualize the data and to show the data in the proper way. The great for creating this dashboard and interactive report that the viewer can easily understand and can see easily. Then the open source libraries like a Python. In Python, we will use the libraries like a Matplotlib, Seaborn, Plotly. These are the libraries that help us to draw the visualization. And the JavaScript, there are the some libraries, D3.js for the custom and interactive dashboard. We use the Excel also to dashboard, but the huge amount of data, the customer transaction data or the customer data in the banks in the million and trillion, so that we are not able to do that analysis on the Excel. But if we want, we can use the Excel also for the visualization. And the specialized AML software for the data visualization is like a solution and interactive data visualization directly into their platforms. We can go their platform, feed the data with using the Excel format or with using the ETL extraction transformation load and load this data, and then do the nice to do the visualization of data. And RFIN and NAFR is the tools. So let's move on the next for the best practice for the visualization. So what are the best practice we use or we keep in our system to visualize the data? So data should be make it is a keep it simple and it is understandable, and to use the proper technique to visualize the data and to avoid the busy visuals and focus on clear and narrative way, the proper way, the the narrations and all things done. So use a right chart. Yeah, that is the perfect. So use the perfect chart, the bar chart, or the pie chart, or the heat map, or the graph that will suitable on that basis of data. So choose the visualization type that best tells the story, like a bar chart of the comparison, line graphs or for the trade, and the network for the graph and the relationship. So that is then the important. And the embrace the interactivity. So how the interactivity and add and allow to user filter and sort the down into the data. So we should allow the user can filter that data with the branch level, or it is the state level or region level or the central level or the national level or the international level, or also you can able to do visualization on the risk level also. So it is easy to user to interact with this data with gender level also, to this level also. So the bank the user can easily interact with data and get the get great experience while interacting with this data, and the provide the context. So visualization should be accompanied and clear title and label, and the explanation will there and the data will there. So that's the things, the best visualization practice we should keep in mind where we do the visualization. And the conclusion from this video, the summary of that video is the data visualization is no longer a luxury but necessary for the modern AML programs. It should be there in the AML program, and the compliance team or the chief risk officer or the higher management or the they wants to visualization of that data, we will show them in the visualization way, and the transfer to see the data into actionable intelligence. And then the call to actions, the start with pilot project and identify the key problems and gather the relevant data to create a simple visualization to demonstrate its power and how it would look like. So it is understand, and from that we will take the future or the actions, what are the future techniques or what are the future functionality we should going add to the system. So that will help we take from the data. So that's the end of my video, guys. If you like my efforts and my channel, so please do like and subscribe. I'll creating more videos for you on such topics so you can get understanding that things. So thanks once again.